today with Evelio Matos, Adam Peak, and Corey Connors.
Yo, what happened there? That was crazy. All right, so it's me. It's me, Evelio Matos Packaging today. The only veteran on the show. Looks like the only veteran's the only guy to show up on Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to all of you guys out there, all you men and women that have served. Do me a favor, if you've served, put in the comments. Where'd you serve? What'd you do? When you did it? And why are you waking up this early to talk about packaging? Got Adam calling in over here. Let's see. So, all right, guys. So what are we talking about? We've got Veterans Day, veterans-led brands. There's Black Rifle Company, Alpha Coffee, American Weed Co., and Sheetz Laundry Company. Sorry, I'm getting messages from Adam. I think I don't know. Either I'm on early, or he's on late. So I'm just telling him to come on now. So crazy. I didn't even realize, like, Sheetz Laundry Company. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sheetz Laundry Company. It's a box of laundry sheets that are the size, a little bit bigger than a business card, and you throw them in your washing machine. And that's the soap, and it's plastic free. It dissolves. It takes care of like all of your laundry needs without like having a big giant jug. And I think you get like 60 washes per little box. The box is also fully recyclable, which is cool. It's like a little drawer and sleeve thing. So that's pretty cool. The other thing is Alpha Coffee, Killer Coffee. You can get that a lot of places, but there's a ton of coffee company with veterans, and I think it's kind of funny because we drink a ton of coffee. Just being in the service, that's a big part of it's a big part of waking up with Alpha Coffee in your cup. But it's like a big part of waking up, staying out late, working. They even do this coffee. It's like field coffee where they take and they boil water. Oh, look who decided to show up.
What are we doing here? What happened? Okay. Here's what we need to explain to our friends in
7:30 a.m.
7:30 a.m. Pacific time, 8:30 Mountain time. Arizona, Evelio, is now on Mountain time.
Whatever, dude.
You're the only state. You're the only state that does not change. And I know that everybody in Arizona thinks like, oh no, we're the best. But dude, 49 other states change their time.
Time revolves around us.
It does
You're
not.
Right. You're right. It should be at 8:30. But dude, as an ex-Marine, you just get up and you just do it.
No, I'm happily awake. I just was not, like you're on the street.
You're not even wearing pants.
Barely.
You like ran down. You got the sheets wrapped around you.
Listen, I have. Let me tell you. I know that I'm jumping into the middle of your rant about whatever, but it probably wasn't important.
Dude, you're interrupting Alpha Coffee.
Alpha Coffee. Okay. Well, I just finished reading and drinking coffee, and I finished reading a book called Life Without Plastic, and it was not helpful. I'm going to tell you, it was not a helpful book. Checked it out from the library, and I read the whole thing, and I was like, I don't think anyone's going to do this. Just so you know, it was just like, here's why every single thing about your entire life has to change. Are you down for the cause? And I'm like, I don't think anybody's down for this cause if this is what it's going to be. Yeah. It was insane. So I was finishing reading and doing research for the people, and you were busy ignoring daylight savings time and getting on an hour early. I can't even live stream to my audience.
Yeah, dude, what are you doing? There's all right, man. So talking about that, yeah, you know what? You're totally right, dude. I jumped the gun.
It's fine.
here's the
We're
thing.
here.
We are here. So
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it.
There was a lady that had a blog about living plastic free, and she would post every day of the things that she did use. And I'll look up the website.
It's probably the people who wrote this book.
Probably. And it seemed like it seemed so difficult.
No,
Right? Like
I told my wife, I was like, I got it thinking like, I wonder if we could do this. And I got done with it. Like, absolutely, we cannot do this. It's like, because what I concluded is, so they started early. Like if you started this in like, at like 18 and you're like, I'm going to do this, then I think you could pull it off. But it costs quite a bit of money. It seems. I mean, everything is like just a little, just change. If you want drip coffee, you have to buy this $1,000 drip coffee maker. If you want a mattress, you have to buy this really expensive and all these expensive, sheets and clothes. And then I got to like sports shoes, and it literally said, go onto eBay because you have to buy vintage Adidas. And I'm like, you want somebody to play basketball in 30-year-old all leather shoes? Like that's never going to happen.
But they did, but I mean, costly. Just think about milk. Like a gallon of milk. What's a gallon of milk? Like $1?
No, but
yeah, close enough. But if you buy it in glass, right? It's like I don't know. Here it's like $8 for a half gallon in a beautiful glass bottle by one of our local dairy farms. But yeah, like a gallon of milk is like $2.50 or something like that. At least in Arizona.
Yeah.
You're paying 3 times as much. Yes, you get a $2 return when you bring that bottle back to the store, but most people don't bring the bottle back. And you're getting half the product. So that's just milk. Like it's impossible.
Literally, if you went through, so I got this book,
and it's got a label on it. It's got a plastic label on the glass bottle. It's not like silk screen or anything on there. So there's still plastic.
They should. I mean, if you're going to do it, just silk screen the bottle, right? But like, I started going through my house, and I was like, "What?" It is shocking, to be honest. Like, I like opened up my fridge and went in our pantry, and I'm like, everything is plastic. My clothes.
Yep.
Shout out to the Denver Nuggets. The sheets and the towels, and they were even like, look at the floors in your house. I'm like, you want me to rip up all of the flooring because it was like laminate wood flooring and carpet is bad. And I'm like, you want me to redo all of the floors in my it was just like, yes, I get it. It is literally everywhere. Literally everywhere.
That's just overconsumption there, right? It's like, oh, let me tear out what I have now to replace it with plastic free products.
Right. Well, and to be fair to the authors, and I can't remember their names, but they did say like, we're not advocating that you just get rid of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like they were like, start somewhere. But I realized like, well, where would we start? And is that even impactful? I don't know. Yeah, that's what I was reading when you texted me like, hey, we're on. And I'm like, we are not on, sir.
We're way on. What are you talking about? I don't know. So just looking at a couple different brands that are run and owned by that. Yeah. So we've got Chris, who's not watching because it's an hour early because you decided to fucking tell me to come on. Excuse me. Grizzly Cookware. There's a ton of cool brands by veterans. Like why are the cool brands run by veterans? But yeah, so you got stuff from cookware, from coffee. You've got clothing like what is it, Grunt Life, Grunt Style. There's a ton of brands out there that are run by veterans. And then you've got like the stuff that you see on Shark Tank, right? Where there's like a Navy SEAL and he comes on and he does the bottle opener with like a spent round, that just continues to grow and grow. There's just a ton of brands, and a lot of them, when you look at them, they're actually pretty sustainable, which is interesting.
I think, I mean, and you are you're a veteran, so thank you, sir. And I do think it's interesting because my friend, I've known a lot of people growing up in Colorado Springs around the Air Force Academy, and then living in San Diego, right near Camp Pendleton in Carlsbad. Just meet a lot of people who have served or are serving. And I do think that there are some real benefits that come obviously from serving in whatever capacity, right? That enables and inspires entrepreneurship. Because I think that especially when we look at like CPG brands, because we think about entrepreneurs like, oh, the tech co-founder who at 22 was already like building bridges and like could code entire websites. It's like, yeah,
Right.
but that's not what's needed necessarily to start and fund a CPG company, because you do need a certain amount of creativity, but you need to understand how to utilize resources, how to work with other people, how to be disciplined. It requires a lot of discipline, I think, to be a successful CPG founder. So it's not surprising to me that we're seeing this. And then also, if you've been able to go around the world and see a bunch of different cultures, it would not be surprising that you see a lot of sustainability angles, not because
Mm.
it's like a marketing angle, but because you see the impacts of poor decisions.
Yeah, I would say there's just in being, just in serving, a lot of the guys out there, because they're so young when they're getting started. Like I mean, I was 17, right? Like you don't know what you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
So you're seeing a lot of, if there's an issue, if there's a problem, whether it's something as simple as like cleaning your weapon, you're like, the the gear that I have doesn't do this justice. They will invent something.
Mm.
Like, you will be on the fly and you will come up with something that works better. And it's just like the creativity and solving something. All of a sudden, everybody else is like, oh, that's pretty cool. Can you make me one? And things just kind of spin out of that. Not that they're building businesses off of these things, but it just becomes part of the culture to just be creative and to solve a problem. It's not like, hey, this is my problem. How can we do it? It's just like, this is my problem. Here's how I fix it. And you just
Right.
take that with you throughout the rest of your life, where you're just like, hey, I've got, like with Alpha Coffee, like they do their, you know, they put their grounds in like these whiskey barrels. So it's like, oh, I've got a partner that does whiskey. He's got these barrels. Let me test what this would be like, and that kind of grows a business out of that. Um, so yeah, I just think it's interesting that culturally you are just actively developing and solving problems with creative ideas. I mean, there's a great quote from a amazing veteran that says, uh, you know, back there I could fly a gunship, I could drive a tank, I was in charge of $1 million equipment. Back here, I can't even hold a job parking cars. That veteran is John Rambo. Very, very, and that's kind of how it goes, right? Like you're working with $1 million worth of equipment, and you have to get the best use out of it. You have to understand cost. You have to understand expenses. You have to like really kind of manage the way that you're doing these things. And it's not a matter of just like going, willy nilly. So when you come back, or when you get out, like running a business isn't that difficult, right? Because you kind of understand the finance side of it as well.
Well, think about like a friend of the show, Justin Garrity, who runs
Mhm.
the composting facility, right? And he talks about the other side of it, which is, the he himself being a veteran and understanding the importance of like not letting things go to waste. And a lot of that, I think came from his time in service. But you also have people who, to the quote, who come back and it's like there are not jobs that people are willing to hire for, which I think is insane. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a whole subsection of people who are here in the country that I think are largely equipped to do a lot of different jobs, but because they've spent their time not doing the exact thing that you want them to do, they get overlooked, right? And so I think it's cool that he not only is a veteran himself, but that he employs veterans within his company. Um, Let me ask you this question though,
Yeah.
because I'm not, I'm an investor in the sense that I'm a taxpayer, but I didn't actually serve in any of the military branches. Uh, so does it ever bother you when it's not a veteran owned company, but it's somebody who is maybe like they have like a veteran themed
Mm.
company where it's like, oh yeah, we give to support whatever the project is, Wounded Warriors or something like that, right? Like
Mm.
it's a causal based company that's not actually run by people who have served. I don't know why that's always something that's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. When I'm like, I get that you're trying to give money,
Mm.
but it almost feels like exploitation rather than. And I'm not going to judge and I'm not going to call anybody out, but like I'm not
Yeah.
going to sit here and
Names
say
the
like
brand specifically.
I'm just thinking about I see this not just in veterans, but you see this all the time where it's like somebody says like, and we give 10% of our money towards this thing. And it always
Sure.
feels like, or 1% or something like that. It always feels like that thing is just there for marketing purposes and maybe a little bit of like altruism, but I don't know why it always bothers me when it's like that's at the forefront. Like just do the thing. Just give the money. You don't have to put it at the very front end of your business.
Mhm.
I could be totally wrong in that, but is that something that ever
Yeah, I mean,
bothered you?
I think it'd be the case for anything, right? Where if if the presentation of the brand is like this is a minority owned brand, but it's not, and like we give to this college fund or we give to this organization, it's lying, right? Even though they may have it in their text in there, it's kind of lying. So yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Deceptive, right?
Yeah,
It's like everybody thinks that you are this thing, but in fact, you are not that thing. It's just that you have marketed yourself to be that thing. It's
yeah,
infinitely deceptive.
that's right. It is. There's a ton of stuff out here, man. There's like American Weed Co. is pretty cool. I'm gonna show these guys because this packaging is pretty dope.
Let's pull it up. Did you say American Weed Co. has dope packaging?
Yeah,
I see what
terrible.
I see what you
Yeah,
did there.
it wasn't even on purpose. I'm just naturally that hilarious.
Well, it's because we're an hour
Um,
early.
dude, that's right. I'm only funny at an hour early. We should do this. We should do this again on time.
Just to have a round. It's like when I preach. Like you got to do 2 sermons. Like this is the early service.
Yeah, exactly. So we got American Weed Co.
Okay.
Mission. Part of every purchase flows back to the very heart of the community through organizations like Stop Soldier Suicide and Responder Strong. So kind of what you were talking about, right? Like they give back, which is awesome. But this is veteran owned, and I don't know. Weed is actually a pretty good service to veterans in general, um, just from a therapeutic standpoint.
Mhm.
But this packaging is pretty cool. They do this. They made this with Pentagram, which is not
Okay.
cheap. So these guys are pretty well funded to get their packaging designed by Pentagram. But kill even like on the pre rolls, you've got like the branding on here over the filter. That's pretty cool. Obviously, it contains cannabis, and the design is kind of feels like classic. Nose graphics on some of the planes, right?
Right.
Like which is something from I don't know, just from being in the service. Like you all have like some kind of a shield. Like your unit has a specific shield. Your team has that's just something that's bred in um, to the design. So I love this part of the language. It's pretty awesome.
I feel like in 100 years when the newest Fred Richards comes along and they're collecting like cool
This would be there.
packaging, like that, those sorts of tins will be like, yeah, this was from the American Weed Co. 'Cause that's the stuff that lasts, right? Um, I'm guessing. I mean, is this a California-based company?
Let's see. I believe so, but I could be totally wrong.
Okay,
Blah blah blah. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't tell you.
got it. Anyway, it'll be interesting
Yeah, San Diego.
what companies like that do
Hmm.
with their the flexible packaging come 8 years from now when it will be banned.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be banned.
That's
I
one of
don't
my
think it's
learnings from Pack Expo was
yeah.
that it
I
is
think you're
not
wrong.
recyclable. and in 8 years that they will ban it.
Yeah, I think things will
So
change.
maybe that would be that would be
But it's
would be
just
a pretty,
it's just like the book that you're reading, right? Like the Life Without Plastic or whatever it was.
yeah.
It's almost impossible. Like getting rid of flexibles at this point is impossible. What are you asking? What are you
Well, they
asking
have
of the
to be a
brands?
mono. Well, they can do a mono material.
But it's still not
That would be
recyclable.
fun.
It's still not. It's
It
technically recyclable, but it's still not collectible and
I
sorted.
think the mono material flexible films are considered recyclable under the law.
Mm.
It's just it depends. I don't know what it is with weed and cannabis, but the barriers tend to be a little bit different with those monomaterials, and I don't know. It's a question for the Jay Quinns of the world.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not exactly sure, but if you think about like the bars, like a like a protein bar, like the David bar could not be sold. If the law was enacted today, that you could not buy that in the state of California.
Yeah, just
That's
think
the
of the
stuff that I'm like, what are we gonna do? How are
just think of all the products that can't be sold in California.
I'm actually thinking about doing a series on that. Just going through a store and like taking a bunch of photos and being like, here's 10 more items that won't be able to be sold in the state of California in their current packaging. And I bet you I could get 1,000 if I walked through like a Kroger.
Dude, I don't think you can walk into the store without seeing one. It's like as
Yeah.
soon as you step in, everything that's like there.
It's like everything. It's literally everything. It's crazy. Except for cereal. Cereal's good. Because that
But cereal
bag
has a flexible bag inside. What's that?
that bag is LDPE. It's considered store drop off recyclable. And that's it.
Got
All right,
it.
what do we got next?
This is Sheets Laundry Club. This is what I use. Oh, it smells Sheets fresh. But yeah, this liquidless detergent. You get 100 loads out of this box. Box is fully recyclable. You take one of these sheets and you just throw it in there, and then you've got these tiny little pebble paper cutouts. Look like they hole punched a bunch of stuff. And you throw that into your dryer. But you can see it's
Awesome.
like just this little sheet, and you just throw that into your load and run it, and it disappears. Pretty cool.
That is cool.
It's
another
tiny.
veteran-owned company.
This is another veteran-owned company.
Cool.
So pretty neat. I think from this, it's not like they developed this idea, but veterans find an opportunity and they'll dig in. With this, I know this was kind of something that was growing on Amazon, going into sheets versus jugs, and just getting on the front end of that wave was, I think that's a big part of it, was time. And then they offer like a discount for subscribing to this thing on Amazon. So it's like all these little things that they did. They did a ton of Facebook ads and a lot of like social media behind this to take off. And this thing has grown insane.
Interesting.
So
And the difference between like the Alpha Coffee, the American Weed Co., and this from like a branding perspective is I would not know that this was
veteran owned.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but they're like product forward and messaging forward. And then it's like the icing on the cake is, oh, and I get to support in your case, a fellow veteran, or in other people's cases that just have that as part of their things that they like to do. I think it's an interesting contrast.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is the product, by the way? Is it? I've tried a couple of them, and it's to mixed reviews.
It's awesome. I mean, we use it daily. I think I've had a subscription for the last year and a half or so, maybe even longer on this thing.
Is it like the milk conundrum though? Do you find that it's any more or less expensive than buying liquid detergent from Costco?
I think I don't know. It's a good question. I just buy it on principle, and the fact that I now have like a giant amount of space back in my laundry room.
for all those activities. There's so much
Yeah.
room for activities.
Well, I can park my car in there now, which is kind of nice.
Oh, that's great. Your electric motorcycle can now be
Yeah.
parked there.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
All right, man. But definitely go out there as the show's wrapping up here, 30 minutes early. To
Stay tuned.
do a fair.
Stay tuned for round 2, where I change my clothes and put on pants.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. JQ, thanks for the shout out. Appreciate it. Let us know what you think on this new flexible film thing. And join us again soon. Real soon. Like for real.
Yeah, very soon. Sooner than soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today.